during player level 2, there's a chance that if he puts the relic hunter on Tree Folk, I don't remember how many bronze we saw so far, if any.
We've seen any.
We haven't seen any, so there's no chance of level 2 bronze just eating it. So I guess that could be the line, yeah.
The problem, this is what we were talking about earlier, this is a turn where he has to choose what he wants to level for the next player level 3.
Right.
If he levels a Relic Hunter, yeah, he gets value killing this Mastodon, but he's not going to have, yeah, okay. That's probably what I would have done, because you want to have a chance of drawing a level 2 Sentry.
So what's your take on how important it is to value, to level Sentry? See, they're like, I mean, I would have leveled Sentry as well, but I think there's something to be said for leveling the Knight, just because, you know...
That's true.
It gets more of a jump in stats than the Sentry does. But you know, like, but I think, you know, I agree that leveling the Sentry is actually, like, you know, more important. But what's your take on just how important it is to go from level 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3 on that card?
Well, like everything, it's relative. And I think in this case, you want to level your Sentry because, again, we haven't seen many bronze.
Right.
And so if he had a bunch of bronze leveled, the Sentries are useless. But since he now has a level 2 Sentry that can potentially block a level 1 Brawn...
That's an excellent point.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would probably level the Relic Hunter because you want to have a big butt, or the Aegis Knight to same reason.
Yep.
He's kind of in the driver's seat here, I think, in terms of not only board control right now, but the cards he's leveled are kind of a good match versus. Oh, that's unfortunate. You know.
And we're seeing, yeah, right, and we're also seeing, you know, his Dino Hate. So like his not from hand triggers Hates being just extremely effective. Yeah. Perhaps that's why we haven't seen Short play any bronze so far. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, we weren't seeing his hand throughout earlier player levels, but that might just be why we haven't seen it. And in this kind of situation, Brawn is the card that could, you know, enable him to come back in the game just because of the reach it gives you. But right now, he's behind on board, behind on life.
Oh, jeez. This level 3 Aeronaut is, I think, gonna just wreak havoc, especially because whatever level 2 Short plays is gonna get turned into a tree.
Exactly.
If not, then we've got that level 2 Sentry. Nexus Aeronaut is just such a brutal card. It levels just extremely well.
And it's strong at every level, right?
Every level. I mean, I've seen level 1, like a level 1 Aeronaut on a Relic Scout, like Elysian Shard it. I mean, I've just seen that just completely win a game by itself.
So another interesting thing recently is we've been seeing a lot of people go back to Elysian Shards. And you know, part of the reason why Elysian Shard was, you know, somewhat off the map, at least during, you know, a large part of 6.0, and, you know, also during the metagame right before, was because there was just so much hard removal, with, you know, every Necrium deck running the Duskmaw, and, you know, in the days of our wonderful friends, you know, Herald Bomb. You know, you also had those decks which had ways of clearing creatures so easily that, you know, like investing in a creature with something like a shard was just not a good value proposition. But things have changed, and we're seeing Elysian Shard, which is such a powerful card, come back.
Yep. Well, you know, when the Herald was around, the Herald Bomb deck, which was a Utera Tempest deck that relied a lot on single card removal, single target removal, like Dendrify and Botaminate, it really made no sense to buff your creatures because
that's right. 50%
of your games had a 50% chance of losing your creature the turn you played it. So it just didn't make any sense. But now we've seen a slowed down sort of creature-based. A lot of the time we're getting creature-based stuff. People are cutting spells. So, you know, having a Elysian Shard hopefully can be a 2 or maybe 3 for 1 at sometimes.
So another open question is how much of T-Store are we going to be seeing in the current metagame with Burn becoming prominent? I mean, I don't see how much Burn we're going to, you know, end up seeing 4 weeks down the road, but at least right now there's a lot of. So this was still had all these win the game. He was ahead for really.
Yeah,
the whole game.
He just played it very well. He was didn't get too aggressive. He always throttled back on the aggression and played things like Justicar to ensure that he would continue to have board control.
And the sentries did so much work.
Love those. The ley lines.
Right, exactly.
Very good cycle. I don't know how I feel about this cycle of patrons and also overload spells yet. I'm not saying I dislike them. I just don't know. I only have a few of them. So I really like the idea of the cycle of ley lines. I think that was an amazing addition to the metagame.
So is your concern with the patrons, the overload cards, that's a different issue, but like, is your concern with the patrons that it just might be too good, or you're just not sure that they're going to be good enough?
It's really more, it's not even about the power level, it's more just about those cards might as well say, only to be played in a mono deck.
Yes.
So it's kind of is just like, it's not a very creative solution to trying to make people want to play mono. So it's kind of like a design that says, like, it's trying to be like a cool, clever card, and it is, but it just a little, I feel like it takes away from deck building. It limits deck building, you know what I mean?
So, yeah, but then the other side, yeah, I totally see your point, like, but the other side of that argument is, and I know, a lot of, strong players, have been wanting something like this for a long time, was, just like the old avatars, that, having cards that are just, so much more powerful when you play a mono-colored deck,
yeah,
in a way increases the diversity in a metagame, because otherwise there's no reason why you'd build a mono-colored deck. And having a good reason to play them, I think is an interesting thing to have.
Yeah, again, I'm unsure. I wasn't right. I'm unsure why they made them. I see the appeal. I'm just, like you said, though, I think that is definitely the best plus for that, is that, if you choose to play Patron of Deepwood, you're going to be on Utera, and if I choose to play Patron of Tarsus, I'm going to be on Mono Necreant, and that therefore creates 2 new decks in the metagame, which, it can only be good, I think. Right. Okay, now, so Game 2, sorry to cut you off, but this is Game 2 of TIC versus the 5th Faction. Still had all these from the 5th Faction, won the first game. If he wins this, we'll get another match. Otherwise, we'll go to Game 3. Sorry, what were you going to say, Rats?
To explain, no, that's perfect. So, and to explain to the viewers who don't know the formats of, these league meetings, what happens is we get, matches that are 2 out of 3, and then the winner is going to stay on for the next game, for the next match, and the matches themselves are a best of 5. That's the first thing to know, and the second thing to know is. The players aren't allowed to change deck, if they happen to win, and they also aren't allowed to come back with the same deck.
Correct.
So little interesting things about about this format. So we won't see, for instance, this mono Utera dinos paired against whatever might show up, whatever fifth faction might come up with. Should still have all these lose a game. And that's an interesting thing about this little format. Like small ways of adding diversity.
Yeah, I like this format a lot. It was kind of inspired by StarCraft Pro League, if you ever watched.
No, actually.
Basically, well, I'm not really going to explain StarCraft, but
sure.
Basically there's 3 factions in StarCraft, Protoss, Zerg, Terran, and if the first player, for instance, is Team 1 Protoss, Team 2 Zerg, if the Zerg wins, he stays with Zerg. The other team can bring on whoever they want. And of course the maps change in between rounds, so it's a little different. But the idea is that even though you win, you're technically at a disadvantage because now the other team knows your play style. They know exactly what deck you're playing. They can bring one of 4. The other thing we forgot to mention is each deck submits 4 decks. Yep. Each team submits 4 decks before play starts. Yep. It's not like we're watching Still Had All of These and coming up with the supreme counter for him. We have submitted decks, and of those 4, we can choose what to who to play and what they will play with next round.
And just to be clear, like, so the advantage that you gain if you're a loser, right, is that you can choose of the decks that are left, you know, what's the best thing you have to fight whatever the winner won with.
Right.
That's a very important point to make. You're right.
So the strategy kind of is in building your decks. You obviously have to consider, oh, what are we going to play against, and come up with 4, you know, decks that you think the opponents are going to use. So I mean, if you right now Dinos is popular, so Still Had All of D's coming up with it. They chose to play with this AU deck, which is very good against Dinos because there's a very good chance that TIC was going to come with Dinos first round because it's a popular deck.
Yep.
So we got a Dino Night. It's
finally
1.3 of Game 2, and we see our first Dino Night. He doesn't really have a answer for it. He probably wished he had that Justicar last turn. He could, remember the Aeronaut is going to buff whatever he chooses to play.
That's right.
He could play a...
he could go Mouse. Yeah, that would kill it. So he could like block with Nexus Aeronaut, which will survive, and play Malice from it. So, you know, dealing the 2 extra damage. So that would be a total of 8 damage to Dino Knight. And the Dino Knight won't get the trigger because of the armor on the Nexus Aeronaut.
Problem is he really wants to play a Justicar, I think, to get those leveling up.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, the Hermit, though. Oh, he's just going to ignore. I like that. He's going to ignore.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hope he draws a Behemoth and or Dendrify.
Yep, that's nice.
Or a huge fatty level 2 Aeronaut, which is so sick.
I mean, even Lothra right here would do the job. And the other, you know, good thing value-wise about playing the Justicar there is that, you know, well, Mastodon. Mastodon. See, that makes me wonder whether, you know, it still was probably correct to go with the line of letting a Dino Knight live, but thinking about Mastodon makes me wonder whether it was, you know, clearly the correct line.
Yeah, one of the things here, we don't really have his hand. We don't at all have his hand, so
exactly.
It's hard to tell, but yeah.
So still had all these, you can still clear the Dino Knight without problem. You know, so this plays out fine, but and he has, you know, a high, you know, amount of underdrops with these Ultras and Behemoths, so he has ways of dealing with a Dino Knight that's been pumped by 3 health. But it's an interesting to take into account. Mastodon. By the way, I mean, I have a beef with that card, and I like to bring it up when I can.